Hi, with this virtual presentation, I'm going to present our work called Refugee Education, Teacher Perception over Students' Learning Difficulties in Italy and Jordan. Situations of emergency like wars, dictatorship, and extreme poverty are between the main reason for leaving the home country and attempt to rebuild a life in another country. However, migrating can be a dramatic path and, in addition to the situation that caused the migration, can negatively contribute to the psychosocial well-being of the migrant. Many typical situations lived during the migration can trigger the appearance of mental disorders. We are referring about situations like losses and separation from personal goods and relatives, war, the condition of being asylum seekers, but also the economic and employment difficulties, and of course, trauma, persecution, and tortures that are typical from a war condition dictatorships. Situations like those can trigger, for example, depression, anger, somatic and anxiety disorders, and stress and post-traumatic stress disorder. The influence of such a mental disorders on learning and school performance have been widely studied in literature. However, there is a lack of study that relates these mental disorders and the learning of the refugees. To conduct this study, we have used ethnography. Specifically, we've used questionnaires and semi-structured interviews among teachers who work with refugees, both in Italy and Jordan. We have made 3 interviews and 30 questionnaires in Jordan and 23 interviews in Italy. The first part of the results refers about the influence of the context on refugee education. And well, there is a big difference in the context between Jordan and Italy. That is because mainly of the origin of the refugees. In Jordan, refugees mainly come from the surrounding areas, that is to say Syria, Iraq, and Palestine. This implies that they speak the same language, although it is a dialect, but they can really well understand each other's, and also they have similar culture and religion. On the other side, in Italy, refugees come from various countries that are far from Italy and they don't speak Italian. They also have different culture and religion. This is an obstacle because the language, the linguistic knowledge is an obstacle to integrating and also to integrate in the school. And the language, as referred us from the teachers, is an obstacle also to individuate specific learning disabilities. And that is because the existing tools for individuating such problems are not made to individuate this problem in foreign students. That is because they are thought for Italian students, for students that speak Italian. Coming to the influence of the refugee condition on learning, both refugees of Italy and Jordan mention the same problems. Those are problems like attention problems, concentration problems, memorization problems, and problems like being slow at learning and also lack of motivation. Similarly, when talking about their refugee students, teachers refers about them as individuals with insecurity, low self-esteem, depression, sadness, mood swings, and lack of anger management. Resuming the results and concluding this virtual presentation, we can say that despite the contextual differences between Italy and Jordan, the teachers converge in the definition of the learning difficulties of the refugee students. They identify attention problems, concentration problems, memorization problems, and other problems that seem to be typical of this class of learners. Also, they refer to them as individuals with insecurity, low self-esteem, depression, sadness, mood swings, and lack of anger management. According to the teacher experience, these conditions derives from their peculiar condition of the refugee. That's because The specific migration experience lived by refugees can cause mental disorders that are related with learning difficulties. The correlation of learning difficulties and mental disorders between refugee students called the attention over the need for a further research in the field of refugee education. On the other side, we need better knowledge about refugee learning difficulties because this is needed in order to provide adequate and complete training for teachers that work with this class of learners. We want to thank you for your attention, and we remind you that if you need for further information, you can send us an email at rosellabianco@correo.ugr.com.